Good morning and happy Sunday. Um, I woke up this morning and some things were on my mind, and I feel that this could help someone out there. I wanted to talk about how I lost faith in God. Now, I'd like you to follow me. I'd like you to follow the story because I'm actually driving somewhere. So many people that know my story will say that, oh, God has been faithful, and that is the truth. God has been so faithful to me that I, most times I keep wondering why. And that's the question I ask God now. God, why are you doing all the things that you're doing for me? Why? I don't even deserve it. But then, I'll try to shorten the story as best as I can. Those that know me, know me personally will know that I had issues with my career. I had issues with stability in my career. Whenever I don't struggle to get jobs, and whenever I get those jobs, one way or the other, something happens and then I'm out of the job. And so while others are growing on the job, I tend to have to start all over again. So I began to ask. I began to pray. I sought spiritual counseling. And I had several things in which I've been hearing these things way back. Let's say, I can say I started hearing it. I will tell you what I was hearing or what they were telling me. As far back as 2012, a woman, she does this morning cry. She was coming from the morning cry. Then she saw me and she said it in Yoruba. She said, Atikpeo, Boba Jia. If you're not Yoruba, it means that you've been chosen by God. You've been chosen to serve God. And if you don't align yourself with that mandate, you will suffer. That was it, 2012. Like, okay. I love my career so much. I'm a media person and I never saw myself functioning. I didn't see anything better outside my career. So I kept on striving, and then there was this struggle over and over again to keep a job. So I began to think, could it be? And mind you, it's not only this woman, other persons too have told me that, okay, you have been called. You have a ministry, and if you don't accept, if you don't get into work, you will struggle. I've heard it over and over again. So the last one that really got to me, I was in Ekiti. I'm not sure I spent 6 months. And funny enough, I will resign myself. I will just get tired and I will resign. Nothing about the job will give me joy. I will just resign. They will beg me, don't go. Don't worry. Yes, we know you are challenged in your health, but we are ready to accommodate it. Don't worry. Me, I will resign. No, I will go. And then when I go, maybe after 2 months, my eye go clear and I'll be like, I'll start looking for another job. So I began to hear in Ekiti, a man of God told me, said, until you take up the ministry, you will keep going round and round. I left Ekiti to Ibadan. I got another job, same thing. I got another job. So after that particular job, I just told myself, I think you've had enough. It's time to take the call. Now I want you to follow my story. I'm going somewhere with this story. So I registered. I went to the seminary 2023 January, I think January or February, thereabout. I went to International Bible College of Ministries and Seminary, the one owned by Bishop Wale Oke in Ibadan, and it is full time. It's not as if you're going from home, so you're on campus, you do everything. And I was there. I opened my heart. I opened my soul. The routine was mad. It was like army training. It comes, oh my God, I can't forget that place in Ori. We call it IBCOMS for short, International Bible College of Ministries and Seminary. We get to wake up early. You wake up 3:45 a.m. and before you're retreating to bed, maybe 11:30 p.m. The routine was crazy. I knew my health. Of course, I'm not good with stress, but I asked God to help me that if indeed this is exactly what I would do to have stability in my life and have peace in my life, then He should give me the grace. And I kept on. There were times I broke down. They would allow me rest. There were times I was sick. They would allow me rest, but I kept on. Now, this is where I'm going with my story. Sometime around, I think May, thereabout, in school, I think the stress got to me and I relapsed. I relapsed, and trust me, I've had my challenges with mental health, but you see that relapse, I've never had that kind of relapse before. I broke down. Before that relapse happened, I was beginning to experience soul travel. Like I would be in the room, I was fasting, I was praying, I put my body under pressure, aside from the whole routine that we're going through in school. Just because I just wanted to get it right. I just wanted to, do this will of God and get it right. I broke down. I went home. It was the messiest relapse I would ever have. And then I was taken to the hospital. When I got to the hospital and when I got myself back, I said, God, what else? What else would you have me do? They said I can't work, that the reason why I can't work is because I should, do the work of the ministry. And then I decided to get trained because I'm not the type that would do anything wishy-washy. If it has to be done, it has to be done perfectly. That is me. So if I'm going into ministry, I've got to know everything. I've got to be prepared. And then I broke down. I relapsed. It took me the next 1 year to get my dignity back. And that was the point. I lost it. I lost faith. I said, God, I prayed to you. I asked you to keep my health. If, it was this ministry I was going to do for me to have stability, for me to have good health, then why did I relapse again? I remember when I was in the seminary and I was asked to preach during Bible study on Sunday. There was this message I preached, when God doesn't make sense. See, yes, I knew, even after that message, a lot of people kept referring, and those that were not in school were like, I heard you preach the message. I wished I was there. And truly, I preached that message from a point of where I was coming from. God didn't make sense, but I kept believing. They said you're going to be great. But then I was eating like ants. I was working hard. I was losing my job. It wasn't making sense. So it was from a point of pain I preached that message, not knowing that that message was going to test me or later on. So after the relapse, after everything, the whole shame that I had to go through, I went back to my bedroom and I said, God, is this for real? And that was when I told myself, okay, you're done. You're done. And I let loose. You see, all of the taking caution, living the good Christian life and everything. I told myself, no, babe, you're done. You're done. So I began to be me, be human, live for me, self-love. Yes, I pray. Sometime, my mind will tell me, I'll think about it. Okay, you're going out of the way. But at the same time, I'll be like, who cares? I left everything. I didn't look for another job to go and stay in a seminary. Right there, I broke down. So okay, so tell me now, what is the reason why I keep losing my job again? God didn't make sense. This is where I'm going with this story. God didn't make sense at all. At all. But then, right there, in the relapse, I saw him. I saw his hand. I saw him by my side. And I was asking, why would you permit it? And then have to come and stay by my side. It did not make sense to me. Those that were in the seminary with me will feel like this lady backslided. It did not make any single sense to me. Because I had to go through so much because I relapsed. But then, I'm saying this because right here, right now, I have seen God. God never left me. He kept on, stayed by my side, providing for me, taking care of my needs. God never left. Yes, it did not make sense. He never made sense. I relapsed, it never made sense. I went through shame, it never made sense. As I'm speaking to you, this is where you can see. If I show you down, look at this. See this? That is another thing of God not making sense. Why do you allow all of these pains when you could have just averted it and just let me have peace? But then the ways of man are not the ways of God. As far as the heavens is from the earth, that is how far the ways of God is to the ways of man. Our thoughts are not his thoughts. Our patterns are not his patterns. I'm sending this message out there because many times in your Christian life, God will not make sense. You will not understand why things are happening. You will serve God. You'll be dedicated. You'll love God. But then things will happen. Indeed, God doesn't make sense. You see, one thing I can vouch for, one thing I can stand and say, you see this one, Mufi Soyani, this one, oh, I know it, and I know it well, that God will never leave you. Are you a lover of God? You love God. You love God. You just want to do the will of God. But then your life is not making sense. Everything is not making sense. Just the way I went to the seminary, and right there I relapsed. Didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that you would lose that one person that is your benefactor. And then you have to start, and it's not as if you are not loving God though. You're loving God, you're serving God, but that one person that's like a backbone to you, God allowed the person to die. And then you have to start struggling when God doesn't make sense. So that was where I know many people, many of my schoolmates would be like, what is happening to Sister Victoria? What is wrong? And those that love me enough will pray for me. But I was pained. I was so pained. I put everything in his hands and I relapsed. And I was made fun of. I was rejected. I was barred from entering places just because I relapsed. While thinking, or maybe let me put it that way, that I was on the path. I was where God wanted me to be, finally. But you see, so far, I've seen the hand of God. See Him caring. See Him providing. I've seen Him protecting me. I've seen Him fighting my battles. Now, it's not how I wanted it. It's not how I felt it should be, but how He knows best that it should be. I recently began to think, it's time to get dedicated again to God. He brought me back with His love, not leaving me, not forsaking me. He just brought me back with love. God is not making sense right now to you. Allow Him to love you and pamper you. Allow Him to carry you in the storms, even when it's not making sense. He's there. He's right there. Just like He has always been. Yeah. Happy Sunday.